This episode of Switchcraft is brought to you by Nico. Support Switchcraft and my other content for as little as $1 and get exclusive rewards at patreon.com/runjumpstomp. There we go. Call that patron. I didn't dare try and pronounce Nico's last name because there were a couple different ways and I just didn't want to butcher it. I would feel bad if I was butchering people's names. Save project as... Oof, I really need to get in here and prune these. And this is episode 172. SC 172. Just move your monitors near the cam. Thanks, Vaxxer, for that wonderful tip. I will try and do that. I will move my monitors, which are not attached to a monitor stand or anything. All right. Episode 172 of Switchcraft is brought to you by OP Seat. Head over to runjumpstomp.com/OP Seat to directly support the show and get a fantastic gaming chair that can directly support you. I'm sitting in one right now, and it's extremely comfortable. I'm a big fan of OP Seat chairs. They got good lumbar support. They're just really good chairs. So make sure that you check out runjumpstomp.com/OP Seat. Sponsor. Vaxxer's helping. Don't believe him, people. Hey, Awante, what's up? Here. Hey, I want to try something. You guys, please let me know if this works. I'm going to put it... I just want to see how this works. Now we're in emote-only mode. Can you guys type words? I'm just curious if that works or not. Well, okay, that doesn't work at all because I can see Kodiak Moonwolf just typed test. That doesn't work. Why is this even a button? All right, I turned it off. All right, we're back to normal. We're back to normal. It's all right. It's okay. It's going to be fine. We're all fine here. How are you? All right. Let's see. Switchcraft is recorded live 3 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern and on Saturday at whatever time I can get to it. Tune in live at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp and you will be greeted by awesome people. People like Kodiak Moonwolf, Vaxxer, Awate86, Colonel Katifa, AR Slia, Harvey P27, Hopple, Germs for You, Link31254, Lumberjoke 2, TF Wagner, Zalaria. You guys are awesome. Thank you for hanging out with me while I record the show. And there's lots of ways that you can get a hold of me. If you don't want to come to the live show, that's fine. Other ways that you can communicate with me are email. You can email me runjumpstomp@gmail.com. You can call and leave a voicemail at 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. You can get a hold of me on Twitter at runjumpstomp. And you can join our Discord by heading on over to runjumpstomp.com/Discord. And we have conversations in there all the time. This morning, I was at Taekwondo belt testing with my son, and my phone was going, it was just going off like crazy. I didn't even get a chance to see all of the conversation that I was missing. But make sure that you join that Discord because a lot of fun stuff happens over there. Hang on, maybe it's because you and Vaxxer are mods. Oh, okay. Well, let's try it then. I'll go back. Whoops. All right, we're in emo-only mode. Can somebody who's not a mod type something? Throw some emotes around, or some... Okay, Harvey P's not a mod. Harvey, can you type... Oh, okay. I ask Harvey if he can type, but he's... So, okay, I turned it off, so... It wouldn't let you type stuff. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's neat. I don't know what you would use that for, but I saw it on my Stream Deck as an option, and I was like, well, I'll try that out. Vaxxer has power. All right. Well, good to know. I love that emote. What are the power up left, power up right? Are those like global emotes, Vaxxer? All right. So I feel like I've seen this game before, and this game, I think it might be a game that was on Steam in the past, and that's Super Chariot. And I've seen it before, and it looked very interesting to me. You basically you have this chariot. It's two wheels. It's a 2D game, and it looks like a 2D platforming game. And you have to get this chariot with these two wheels, or maybe it's four wheels, and we can only see it from the side because it's two dimensional. Who knows? You have to get it from point A to point B, and you can jump and stuff like that. But then you have a button that you can kind of like throw out a lasso or a rope or something, and it latches onto the chariot, and then you have to, you know, lift it up by pulling on the rope, or slow it down by pulling on the rope, and it looks like a fun little physics puzzler. Um, I was watching this, and all I could think of when I was watching the footage, and if you want to see the footage yourself, make sure that you go to the show notes and click on that first link called Super Chariot Switch. And this seems like the kind of game that would give me Nintendo thumb. And for those of you who are not from the 80s, when we had our original Nintendo Entertainment System, it had these rectangular controllers with sharp edges. And there were some games that you would play, particularly racing games, where you would feel like you really had to push hard on the buttons. And maybe it's just me, and me and my brothers anyway. But you felt like, all right, if I push the button just a little bit harder, I'll go faster. And I know that that's not true, but there was something about that controller that made me think that way. And actually, a lot of that happens to me a lot on racing games that use buttons instead of triggers for velocity control. Now, when I was watching Super Chariot, what it felt like, because you kind of throw a lasso around the chariot and then you kind of give it a tug, you're pulling it towards you, and the character kind of leans forward, uh, trying to pull it behind them. And it almost feels like the kind of thing where I'm going to be just pushing down on the D-pad buttons really, really hard in order to get the person to pull just a little bit harder, even though that doesn't actually work. But overall, I think Super Chariot looks like a fun game. And if you want to see the first the first footage of it, there's a YouTube video linked in the show notes. Contra hardcore Nintendo thumb for you. Oh, holding down the shoot button. Ice hockey on NES hurt my thumb the most. Yeah, ice hockey. Like, I'm doing the NES archive, and I can't wait to get to ice hockey because I loved that game. But ice hockey definitely gave you Nintendo thumb quite a bit, because you were changing direction a lot, and you had that D-pad, which wasn't super comfortable. I feel like ice hockey and just the way that you move in a hockey game is much more suited to having joysticks. Yeah, ice hockey was way better than Blades of Steel, even though Blades of Steel was far more popular. And Blades of Steel was also probably a more accurate hockey game, but ice hockey for the NES was it's one of my all-time favorite sports games. No, let's stop that for a second and close that, and we'll call that Chariot. Save. There we go. All right, I've got a trio of Sega stories. I know it's a Nintendo show, but these are related to Nintendo. Well, two out of three of them are related to Nintendo. And the first one is not related to Nintendo, and I'm actually skipping around a little bit. But Sega has announced that they are bringing out a Mega Drive Mini, kind of like we have the NES Mini, we have the Super NES Mini. Well, Sega has decided they want in on this sweet mini console business, and they're going to be bringing out their very own Sega Mega Drive Mini. And if you are from the States, the Mega Drive is what they called it in Europe as well as Japan. But when they brought it over to the United States, there was some company that had Mega Drive as like the name of their company. So Sega couldn't use that. And so they ended up changing it to Sega Genesis. Now, they didn't say what games will be coming to the Mega Drive Mini. I'm hoping, I'm sure that we'll get a Sonic game. I'm sure that we'll see the first party Sega titles. I'm sure that we'll see a lot of that stuff. And honestly, I don't know if this is first party Sega titles or not. I'm just thinking of games that I played on my Genesis or on my Sega Nomad. It's funny, I'm a Nintendo guy, but when I was in the Army, when I was first in the Army, like right after basic training, I went to Charlie School, which was where I learned how to do my job, which was cryptography, basically. And when I was there, we did not we couldn't have a TV. So I ended up, I was in the Army. I had a bunch of extra money because I was living in the barracks and I didn't have any bills. And so I went to the store and bought myself a Sega Nomad, which was a portable. And if you're not watching the video, I'm doing portable in air quotes. It was a portable Sega Genesis. I really wish I still had that thing because it was really cool, except for the fact that that thing chewed up batteries like it was its job, like it was nobody's business. That thing destroyed batteries. And the games that I played probably the most on my Sega Nomad was Landstalker. I would really like to see Landstalker be included on the Mega Drive Mini. Shining Force 1 and 2. I loved the Shining Force games. I like the Shining Force games more than I like the Fire Emblem games. I think that they're much more fun games and a little more lighthearted too. The Fire Emblem games are really kind of dark and morose. Well, not super morose, but they're just not as lighthearted as the Shining Force games. And of course, I think it was Madden 95. I'm not sure which one it was, but I think it was Madden 95 was the other game that I played a lot of on my Sega Nomad. Now, this was in my barracks room plugged into the wall because, nobody could afford to keep that thing in batteries. Bill Gates would have had trouble making sure he had enough batteries to run the Sega Nomad. But those are the games that I probably played the most on my Sega Genesis and on my Sega Nomad. And those are the kind of games that I would really like to see on the Mega Drive Mini. Now, speaking of retro Sega stuff, now we're going to bring it back to how is this related to Nintendo. And these are two very, very closely related stories. Sega also announced that they are bringing this game called, or I guess multi-pack, called Sega Ages to the Nintendo Switch. And it's going to contain, here, I'll just read the actual thing. It says Sega Ages, which is I guess it's a compilation branding that they've used previously. I'd never heard of it before, so I'm not sure. It's going to bring over 15 classic Sega titles to the Nintendo eShop, with all-time classics Thunder Force 4, which I've never played. I tried to load it up on emulator this morning to see what kind of game that was, and it wouldn't load, unfortunately. Sonic the Hedgehog, of course, that's going to be on there, and Phantasy Star. Those are 3 games that are currently announced. They said that more games are to be unveiled in future reveals. For me, I'm hoping it's the games that I already talked about. Like Landstalker was this really cool top-down action RPG, almost like a. It felt like it was three-dimensional, although it wasn't three-dimensional, and there was like jumping and fighting with a sword, but it almost felt like it was trying to be like Zelda, but also very different from Zelda. And I had a lot of fun playing Landstalker. And of course, the Shining Force games that I mentioned before. Those are. I'm curious, what games do you want to come to either Sega Ages or to the Mega Drive Mini? I'd really love to hear from you guys what you think about those. Um, Sorry, I got distracted by chat real quick. So, thirdly, we've got one more Sega story, and that is that Shenmue 1 and 2 Remaster has now been announced. And if you don't know what that is, back in the Dreamcast days, Shenmue was this really weird game where it was almost like you were trying to be in real life in Japan. It felt like a real life simulator, and I bought it for my Dreamcast. And I remember I invited my mom into my room. I said, "Mom, you got to check out this game." And my mom would always like humor me. She doesn't care about video games at all, but she would always humor me and come look at what game I was, in love with at the time. And she came in and she saw me playing Shenmue, and she was kind of transfixed because at that time we'd never seen a game that had looked so realistic. I mean, you look back at it now and it looks terrible, it looks dated, but it was pretty amazing, the technology that what we had seen. Like it was jaw dropping to see Shenmue in action. I never got very far in Shenmue. It was not a game that held my attention very much past the ridiculously good visuals back in the day. Because I've always been really more of a gameplay person, and I felt like Shenmue was kind of a slow game. Not that that's a bad thing, because obviously a lot of people love the Shenmue games, and I never even tried out the second one. And the reason I'm bringing this up is they did not mention that if they were bringing it to Nintendo Switch or not. So right now, I'm pretty doubtful that we'll get this remaster on Nintendo Switch. However, it is possible that maybe Sega and Nintendo have kind of worked something out to where Nintendo can announce it at a direct or something like that. Or maybe it's going to be on stage at E3. I'm not sure what Sega and Nintendo have planned, or if maybe Sega just decided they're not going to be doing it on the Switch. And for me, I think that that's too bad, because I think a lot of people would prefer to take a game like Shenmue portably. They want to take it with them so that they can continue to play it when they're out and about. And I think that there's no technical reason why Shenmue wouldn't be able to run on the Switch. So, if you are really hoping for it, cross your fingers and knock on wood, and maybe we'll bring it to the Switch at some point. There we go. Sega. Save. Let's get a drink. Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. That's basically Puyo Puyo, right? I never played the original. Did you have a Sega Nomad as well, Link? Yeah, let me find that real quick. Sega Nomad. Oh my god, that thing. You like the music a lot? Yeah, that's the Sega Nomad. I loved that thing. Oh, you know what else I played on it? I played Mortal Kombat on it. Oh, you still have one? That's awesome. I wish I still had one. Let me see. How much would one cost these days? This is going to be pretty expensive, I'll bet. Whoo! $250 on eBay. Yowzer. That is bananas. Yeah, it wasn't terribly popular, so it wasn't something where there were a lot of them. Well, I didn't do much searching though. All right. So when you look at this next patent, it's the kind of thing where when you see it, you'll say, "Oh, only Nintendo would file a patent for something like this." Um, so on April 12th, Nintendo filed a patent for a game system with a plurality of information processing apparatuses. Wouldn't that be apparati? That are capable of communicating with each other. These processing apparati are located inside standalone screens, and by touching two or more of them together, information can be relayed between them in order to produce a new game experience. Examples in the patent application show that a finger is being dragged from one screen to the other without the system losing track of it, as well as a ball that is bouncing between all the two screens, and the screens don't have to make physical contact with each other. The one where they're using a ball, they show that there's a gap between the screens. And they also have put in this patent the ability to bank a ball off of the air so that it approaches the second screen from a different angle. It then says it appears that one screen can even be angled upward in order to provide momentum for an object as it approaches the second screen, such as a bowling ball about to hit a set of pins. Connections are not limited to just two screens, with one image actually showing three screens connected to this three-dimensional image. So, okay, this is really weird. And I know that some people will say, oh, this is going to be Nintendo's next thing. Not necessarily. This is something that could be done in software if Nintendo has the right hardware in the Switch already. And maybe it's got something in the Switch already that it will know how to connect these things together. So this might be something that is going to be used for Nintendo Labo in the future. It could be, which by the way is coming out in like 6 days. It could be something that could be used with the Switch, or it could be the quote unquote successor to the 3DS. And maybe it's none of these things. It is perfectly reasonable for Nintendo to make to patent things that they have ideas for that they never actually use. For instance, Nintendo has, I think that they even patented something to do with using VR. Even though I wouldn't say that the Switch would be a good device for VR because it's too heavy. It would be uncomfortable on your face. And that doesn't stop them from patenting it, something that you have an idea for. Like companies like Apple, they will hire lawyers to basically go around and talk to all of the developers and designers that work at Apple and say, what ideas did you have today? And they write them down, they go patent it. That way, if somebody else comes up with it, they can be like, well, we already had that idea, so that's ours. I don't know if that's really the best solution that we have in the world. And, U.S. patent law definitely has issues with it. But as far as this patent, I wouldn't get super excited thinking that this is something that we're going to see anytime soon. It might be something that we never see, and it might be something that we see in a couple years, or it might be something that comes out at E3 where they're like, check out this cool game that comes out for your Switch that can play with other Switches nearby. Although this idea of like using motion controls on my screen, with my Switch, I can feel already the dread of watching kids play this game together and the Switch just flying out of somebody's hands and going flying across the room. So I don't know. I think that's a very interesting patent, but you know, don't bet all your eggs on the cheese. I guess that's not a phrase, but it is now. Don't bet all your eggs on the cheese, he says. What the hell? I'll just call that eggs because I don't know. You still have an Atari Lynx in the closet? When I was a kid, my buddy had an Atari Lynx, and I would play. I can never remember the name of the game, but it was a game that was on. My God, what the hell was that game on? Or what the hell was the name of that game? I can't remember the name, but it was on the Atari Lynx, and it was one where you were flying. It was very much like Skies of Fury. I think I drew a picture of that once. Did I? I think I did. I drew a comic for that for a switch going out the window once, didn't I? Let me see if I can find it. Did I put it under sketches? No, it must be under finished because I finished it. God, I hope I didn't delete it. Ah, there we go. Share JPEG. I'll send this to Discord real quick. Talking about this on the podcast. So if you haven't seen that drawing, it's in the Discord now. Just type !Discord to check it out. All right. One last story, and then I have a topic that I want to discuss. And that is... No, let's not do that. Real quick, there's a video that I want you guys to check out, or that at least I want you to know about in case you are interested. There's a game coming to the Nintendo Switch called Pirates All Aboard. And I did I don't know, like 10 minutes first look at the game. And basically what the game is like is you are piloting, that's not the right word, whatever the word is for driving a pirate vessel, and you have like cannonballs that you can shoot out of the left or right side of your ship. And you know, if you drive faster, then it takes longer to turn. If you drive slower, then it turns quicker. And you're basically just, you know, zooming around in the ocean, blowing up other pirate ships. And I felt like it was a really shallow game. I didn't enjoy it very much, and I just wanted to let you guys know that there's a video about it. So if you are seeing it on the eShop and you are curious as to what others think of it, what do I think of Pirates All Aboard? Personally, I would say it looks like a game that would be fun for kids. There's not a lot of depth there to the gameplay. But it's not something that I would probably ever pick up again. Luckily, it was given to me as a review copy, but if you want to check out my first look for Pirates All Aboard on the Nintendo Switch, head over to youtube.com/runjumpstomp. TF Wagner, that's it. It's Warbirds. That's the plane game that I was thinking of. Steer? I don't think steer is the right word, is it? I don't know. I was in the Army, not the Navy. By the way, can you guys hear my shirt? Like, when I'm... Yeah, you can. When I'm talking, is it making noise? I hope not. I didn't even think about this jacket that I'm wearing. All right. Is it making noise when I'm talking, though? All right. It's not making noise when I'm talking. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you, Link. Thank you, Vaxer. All right, so I asked this on Twitter yesterday, and I got a few replies, but the question was, what genre do you think is the least represented on the Nintendo Switch these days? And I got a few answers. Craig replied with a point and click adventure. He feels like there's not very many of those, although I am playing a game that's not a point and click adventure, and I can't really talk about the game at all. But it feels like the kind of game that is a point and click adventure without the pointing and the clicking, if that makes any sense at all. And that is a game called The Way, I think. And I can't say anything else about it because I'm under NDA until I think the 17th or maybe the 20th. It's still some time before I can talk about it. But oh gosh, what a thimbleweed, thimbleweed park. I can't think of the name of it. That's a point and click adventure on the Nintendo Switch, but those are the only two that I can think of. And I would agree. Honestly, I feel like point and click adventures are pretty underrepresented genres gaming wide. Like you don't see those hardly at all outside of like The Walking Dead or the Back to the Future, which are all Telltale games. And I know that Telltale has said that the Switch is perfect for them, but why haven't we seen very many games from them? Why haven't we seen the new Batman game from Telltale on the Switch? Why haven't we seen The Walking Dead on the Switch? These are games that are perfect for the Switch. And come on, Telltale, make it happen. Give Craig something to buy. Let's move on. Super Nintendo ad said there are at least two that I know of. I'd say Battle Royale games. So he thinks that Battle Royale games are underrepresented on the Switch. Well, that's going to be corrected soon with Crazy Justice. That game looks like a fun Battle Royale game. Although that looks like the only one. We don't know if Fortnite is coming. We don't know if PUBG is coming. I really doubt PUBG is coming, although both of them are now on mobile. And, if they're not bringing it to the Switch, then why are they just leaving money on the table, people? And then Benji Kong says, arguably, first-person shooters are lacking on the Switch, especially considering how ubiquitous they are on other platforms. And I will say, well, we've got Doom as a first-person shooter. I think that there's another one that came out like, I want to say a week before Doom, and I can't remember the name of it. And then we've got the new Wolfenstein, which is coming out soon-ish. I don't remember the date for that. And but other than that, yeah, I don't see a whole lot of first-person shooters on the Switch, and that is definitely something that feels underrepresented. So, all right, we've got point-and-click adventure, we've got Battle Royale, we've got first-person shooters. What other genres of games do you feel is underrepresented on the Nintendo Switch? I want you to let me know by emailing me, runjumpstomp@gmail.com. You can call and leave a voicemail, 260-RUN-JUMP. You can get a hold of me on Twitter @runjumpstomp, or you can just jump into the Discord and start that conversation right there. What genres do you feel like the Switch is missing out on? Vaxer is trolling me. He says VR games. I suppose you're correct there. Vaxer also says PUBG is on mobile, so I guess it'll soon be on the Switch and your fridge. That's funny. So that's what I want to know. Link31254 says sim games like a Sim City or something would be really sweet. I agree. Or, oh man, it's not Sim City, but it's a game like Sim City. It's on Steam. Cityscape Skylines, I think is the name. I'm not sure if that's the name of the game or not. But yeah, a city builder kind of game would be perfect on the Switch because you can bring it with you. And the thing about city building games for me is I usually lose interest in them, not because they're not fun, but because they're not always, like, I'm not thinking about them when I'm not playing. And so being able to take it with me and say, all right, well, I got 5 minutes. I can sit down and do this no matter where I am. And I can, upgrade the police headquarters in my city in order to get a bigger radius, or, put in a new power source, or make sure that my water grid is set up right. That's the kind of stuff that would be fantastic on the Switch. So that's another genre that is underrepresented. Anyway, anything that you can think of, please let me know what genres are underrepresented on the Switch. And both Magister and Link 31254 are correcting me. It's not cityscapes, skylines. It's just cities, skyline. Thank you guys for correcting me. I love it when I get things wrong and chat points it out to me right away, because then I will get less emails. It's not that I don't want emails. It's that, usually I don't have any way to respond except for thanks when somebody's like, hey, you got this one thing wrong, because I feel like, well, should I read that on the show? I don't really think that people care if I say that on the show. I don't know. I've kind of gotten off on a tangent. Shut up, Bill. Save. Hey, Magister, long time no see, man. It's been a while. All right, before I go, we're going to wrap up the show here in just a second. But Kodiak Moonwolf just posted something in the Discord, and I thought, you know what? That's a good question, and I'm curious as to what the answer is. Well, first off, I am going to be sending out a survey soon, and this question will be included on the survey. And I really hope that you guys will answer the survey. I'll have it probably done by next Saturday. Like, I just want to make sure I get the right questions in there. I'm curious about the demographics of the people who listen to the show, and it will be an anonymous survey. So, be completely honest with your answers. But Kodiak Moonwolf just asked a question in the Discord. He said, okay, here's a question I've just thought of while listening to Run Jump Stomp on the podcast. Are there any games that you've picked up and played because you've seen RJS, that's me, play it on stream or talk about it on the podcast? Kodiak Moonwolf says, my answer would be Axiom Verge. I wouldn't have picked that up if I hadn't seen RJS play it, although I played that on the on PC on Steam instead of on my Switch, because it wasn't out on the Switch. Well, the Switch didn't exist when I played it. Harvey P says Skies of Fury and SteamWorld Dig 2. Vaxxer says Zelda and Super Mario Odyssey. So I'm curious if there are games out there that you guys have played that you wouldn't have played if you weren't listening to the podcast, or if you weren't watching the Twitch stream. And by the way, again, Twitch stream is twitch.tv/runjumpstomp. Just go there, hit follow, and then you'll be notified when I go live. Magister Com says yes, Rocket League. So he would not have played Rocket League had he not seen me play that. So I'm curious if you guys could let me know about that. All right, let's wrap up the show now. That's all the time that we have for today. If there's a story that I missed or a topic that you would like discussed, please let me know. One of the ways that I've already mentioned on the show. If you are looking for ways to support content like this, if you want to support my content, head over to runjumpstomp.com/thank you. All of the links there will help me create more content. Here is one way to help me create more content. Once you get there to runjumpstomp.com/thank you. All right. All you have to do, if you use Amazon to buy stuff, just scroll down and click on my Amazon link. Then I want you to delete your Amazon bookmark and bookmark my link instead. And then anything that you buy from Amazon, I will get a kickback for. Anything. Doesn't have to be gaming related. Some people have messaged me that, hey, I want to buy this game, or I want to support the show, but I like buying games on the eShop. How can I do that? And that's very easy. You can just on Amazon buy yourself eShop gift cards, and you'll be spending exactly the same amount of money. But if you use my Amazon link, I get credit for that sale. So totally selling out right now. Just saying that people have asked how can they support the show when they're doing eShop stuff. That's how you can do it. And again, that's runjumpstomp.com/thank you. All right. I'm out of here. Make sure that you check out Tom Winter and Note Block because their music is awesome and you've heard it here on the show. And a big thanks to them for letting me play it. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Bye-bye. There we go. We did it. We're done. Name. Actually, I'll change this from... I usually call that last topic outro. I'll call it sellout. Save. And we'll hit play on some music.